It's a beautiful day to you, our lovely and smart real estate investors, wherever you're watching us across the world. I'm super delighted to welcome you to another insightful, educative, and of course, interesting episode of Property Matters here on YouTube. In case you're coming across a video like this for the first time, my name is Adejare, and I'm your host on Property Matters. Property Matter is a weekly YouTube talk show where we expose you to everything you need to know concerning how to invest, where to invest, and some safety precautions that you need to put into consideration whenever you are investing in the real estate market. This particular episode and every other episode we have done here on Property Matter is for both new and of course seasoned real estate investors. We share safety guide, tips, precautions, and more importantly, important things you need to know. Over time, we've talked about episode on how to unravel a fraudulent real estate developer. We've talked about how to identify a fraudulent real estate practitioner. We've talked about property pros and cons. We've talked about how to spot a fraudulent real estate transaction. We've talked about safety tips, and we've talked about how you can, of course, do a thorough verification on a property before you buy. So Property Matter is a real estate YouTube talk show. So do well to subscribe to this channel. Invite your friends, family, and loved ones to do so. And I can assure you that you will be glad that you are part of this beautiful program that is on YouTube. I'll be back immediately after the short commercial. Don't go away. Alright, you're welcome back. So I want to say very big thank you to everybody that subscribed, and for those who will still subscribe, thank you very much. And once again, we can also help you facilitate any process of property acquisition. Of course, you know our system and of course our model of operation. So today's episode is going to be one why the military took some large portions of land at the Ketu Epe axis. Depending on when you're watching this video, this happened a few Saturdays ago, okay, and because I don't know when this video will get to you, but it happened a few Saturdays ago. And what actually happened basically was that on this Saturday day, where this allocation took place, some group of real estate investors, together with some staff of the real estate company, and they went over to the land to conduct a physical allocation. And it was quite unfortunate that during the physical allocation process, as the procedure was ongoing, some group of armed forces came on to that place, heavily armed, of course with some cane to go by, and a whole lot of people were beaten, a lot of people were made to go through some punishment, and some few elements were arrested on the day of physical allocation. And I would have shown a video, but we were not allowed to take videos and everybody had to run. I was not there on the allocation, like I didn't go for the allocation, but a reliable source quickly caught out our attention and we went there, and what we saw was was not a good thing to behold. People were beaten. A lot of realtors were flogged, and it was quite that day will be an unforgettable day in the minds of so many people. And the military altered the allocation process. A lot of people were arrested, were taken out of that land forcefully on that day. The ones that escaped will know how to escape. They will know how to explain the tale better. But the unanswered question is, why did the military people invade that property? Were they trying to use their force or their power to forcefully take land possessions of land, or did they actually go through the process of the law? So before I go into further information, this same particular location that this unfortunate incident happened, somewhere around 2022, a real estate investor called me from the UK. She saw an advert of someone selling that property, and she called my attention to it, and she said she wanted to buy acres. Now I told her, okay, fine. She told us she wanted us to handle the entire process of sales, okay, and she will be glad if we can give her a detailed report. So we did the detail, we went to the property, picked all the necessary information, collected all the necessary papers, and we proceeded to, to the land review. And of course, we also entered, the town planning office for the second phase of verification. And while we were doing the verification, the first thing we discovered on that particular land was that that land was actually zoned for military activities. Perhaps government has the intention of doing the military barracks there, but from our investigation, we found out that the land is a military zone. So, in the first place, it's a no-go area. Then, while we were also conducting, our environmental due diligence, we decided to speak with some few people who may be closer to the ancestral owners of the land, and we find out that some members of that family, also sold that same land to the military. So I think what the military did basically was to make sure the land was zoned to them after showing evidence of purchase receipt. But to cut the long story short, the land was zoned to the military. And the reason why the military interrupted that allocation, and a lot of people were beaten, a lot of people were chased away, a lot of people were arrested on that day, was due to the fact that the military saw it as an insult and as a process of what unlawful encroachment on their parcel of land. So this was the reason why the military interrupted that and beat a lot of realtors were beaten on that day. A whole lot of people were demonized. A lot of people, in fact, some people will never forget that, that awful experience. Now, the moment we discovered this in 2022, that the land has been zoned directly from Ministry of Lands, it has been zoned. But a real estate development company, when they bought that land, fenced it and sold it to people. And the unanswered question is, didn't they do their own due diligence? Now, when a real estate development company is buying a property, there are some important things they put into consideration, and these things are what attracts you, real estate investor, to buy into that project or to buy into that, parcels of land. Now, the first thing I discovered when we went to check that property was that the land was facing that Ketu Epe road. That's the first. So it's a facing road property, which makes it in what investment hotspot for people. The other thing I also discovered basically is that there were other parcels of land, and there were people who were busy taking larger possessions of land. So the next thing we also discovered is that that particular estate, was not far from a settlement. Like people were staying not very close to the property, but within that vicinity. So that makes the real estate investment an odd shot, and that shows why the proper people, a lot of real estate investors, rushed the property. But what is the bone of contention was that the military, immediately after beating those people, after chasing them down, they did a fence. So there was already an existing fence that the real estate development company did on that parcel of land. There was an existing fence. So the military did a higher fence, and they collected. Now, the sad thing is that the real estate development company had phase 1, phase 2, and there were other real estate development companies that also have land. So what the military did was that they fenced everything. So when you go to that particular portion of land, please don't go there now, because the military presence are still there. You find out that we have dual fences. We have the fence that was constructed by the developer that first bought into that project. Then we also find out that the military also did their own fence, and they put an indicator. And if you should go there and say you want to buy land, you are the one using your hand to look for a trouble that can be avoided. But what's the length and breadth of this? Now, the summary basically is that I question the integrity of the real estate development company. Did they not do their real estate the due diligence before taking possession? Now, like I said, the property was facing the road, and a whole lot of real estate investors will go for it because it's facing the road. More importantly, those who may want to do commercial activities like hotel, resorts, and the likes, they want to go for it. But the thing basically is that People bought into that project. Now, the unanswered question is, what is now going to happen to their money? What is going to happen to their investment? Now, what actually is the response, okay, of now when these activities were going on? For some of us who will be following the real estate development company, it was actually live. So they were doing the allocation live, okay, and because of the fact that the military entered, some larger portion of that life, okay, were captured on their Instagram, handle. They had to take down their Instagram page. They deleted their Instagram page in order not to spread fears and this. That was what happened. So the question is, why the developer encroached on the military land? Would the developer say he was not aware, or it was too expensive for him to do a thorough due diligence to buy? Now, the way the real estate market works basically in Lagos is that some people can take the risk. Now, the thing basically is that I've met some real estate developers who told me that I know that land it may have issues in the future. Okay, this is not what I'm trying to conjure. It's something that happened. A developer have told me before, but he said before that problem happened, I would have made a lot of money. Okay, and I would have bought another place and reallocate them there. So in most cases, they are using that project to raise funds. Okay, so that they can do other projects. But that is a case and a discussion for another day. Now the question basically is, what now becomes the fate of those who have invested? Because what the military took over as at that time is to over 175 plots, and all 175 plots have been paid for. Now another thing is that what attracted a lot of real estate investor was that the land as at that time it was sold below 3 million. Hapa, real estate investor in this Lagos. Somebody is asking you to buy a land facing the road for less than 3 billion, and you rush it. Some people even bought acres, and you didn't even take a guess, or you are not even inquisitive to find out, is it possible? There are some real estate briefs, some information, some property. I see my fellow realtors markets on Instagram, on YouTube, and I'm asking myself a question: is it really possible? Are we not in this same Lagos? Are you sure these guys actually did their due diligence? We have many people coming into the real estate, so most of them don't have the experience and the exposure that we have, so they cannot deduce or detect danger from afar. Some will only detect when they are in serious trouble. So the question basically is, what must you do? Now the thing is, if you want to buy a property in some locations, what will determine if that property will still be yours? See, a lot of people said, the developer has given me deed of assignment. Giving you the deed of assignment does not mean the property is still safe. The only thing the deed of assignment means is that whenever there's a problem, you can hold the developer's neck and make sure he does what he needs to do. But the thing is, there are some locations that you want to buy property. Now, if that developer is not a reputable real estate company, I would never advise you to buy, regardless of the price they are selling. I won't. There are some locations, okay, that new real estate companies cannot undo. And one of such locations basically are property facing the road. Now, the reason is that the tendency that there's government interest on that place is 90%. The tendency, okay, that land must have been sold to someone who did not take possession, okay, who may later come back to take possession is very high. Now, if you're buying a property, of course, in some places it's very risky to invest in real estate, but if you must take the risk with a development company that will help you fight and make sure that nothing happens to your investment. It is very important you know this. So there are some companies that will tell you they want to sell the property. I'm going to buy it because I know that these guys have the connection, they have the experience, they have the integrity, and they have the money. If it is a court case, you want to drag it, they have the funds, they have the legal team, they have the necessary connection to ensure that your investment, you don't lose your investment. But there are some that when it comes to court case, but yeah, it has gone. Sorry for that. It has gone. So when you're buying some property in some locations, the experience and the integrity and the power of that real estate developer matters. This is Lagos. I've seen instances whereby big real estate companies have to forgo some properties because they did not have the nerves for the wahala and the legal battle that is on that land. In fact, some real estate development companies look at how much is the land concept, how much am I going to spend in court? There's a kind of wasting this money. So the integrity and the experience and the capacity of the company matters. So there's some locations that we want to buy. If I ask you what is the name of the development company, you say this. I'll say okay, fine. I'll make my own honest, recommendation. I won't force you to take a decision. Okay, that's just it. So these are some of those things. Now, what happened basically was that when we dug further, we found out that the military officers that bought that land, those ones facing the road, they left that property, okay, and they did not come back for a very long time. So some families member that did not witness the first transaction on how that property was sold to some of these military officials thought that the owner of the property was dead. Now the thing is that in Lagos, if you have bought a property 3 years, 4 years, you do not take possession, you don't do anything, they will assume that the person who bought the property is dead, and they will resell to somebody who is willing to pay them higher than what you paid. So they assume the military officer might have died, maybe they have quest and fight with Boko Haram or other terrorist group, and they sold to this developer. Now the developer bought, and of course, to make the market move, it sold extremely cheap. People rushed in, and today now, some people were seriously beaten, massively dealt with. It's an horrible experience. Now, what is my take? Now, if you want to buy a property in Lagos, if you are not in Nigeria, walk through an agency that will help you do due diligence. From January till date, we have spent nothing less than $500,000 doing property verification. There are a lot of people that they will tell you, I will tell you, see, if you are not in a hurry, if you are not in a rush, if you want to say, okay, because of price increase and that, and you want to rush and buy, please go and buy from another person. But if you want us, okay, to handle this process of sale, let us do our job. Let us ensure that what you are paying will not put you into problem or will not make you lose money. And a lot of people say, okay, fine, you obviously sound like you know what you're doing, but wait. So people say, I cannot wait. I will say, okay, if you cannot wait, fine, there's still no problem. Go and buy from another realtor. It's not fight. You go and buy from. So when there's problem, make sure you don't call me. So the thing is that buy from an agency that will help you do a thorough due diligence. After we picked information, after we picked the survey and relevant things, we took it to the general office to confirm the status, and we went to the town planning to confirm if there are projects there. It was at the town planning office we found out that there's going to be military barracks. And these are property people bought, and the reverse has been the case. So these are some of the things. So what are the pointers? Buy from an agency that can help you do due diligence, regardless how it's small. And for me, basically, I won't say it's a big company. I said too. I said even brands like those top brands. If I talk their name, like you look at I'm marketing them, they will say, this one cannot lie. I will collect or I'm going to check. So because I obviously don't want to leave any stone unturned and assume that people are doing what they need to do. So, but that is how we operate. So this is what happened to some. Now, some people are asking, what will happen to real estate investors that bought into that project? What will developer do? I'm not a developer, so I'm not in the best position to answer that question. But what I can say is that developer has entered serious BC. Now the question is, as long as it is the military that have collected that land, there's no court you want to take it to, it's gone. Now what will happen to people's investment? Well, you don't have land again. So will the developer refund them, or will you take them to another estate? That obviously will be best answered by the real estate development company. So this is where I'm going to draw today's curtain of property matters, why the military took possession of a landed property along the Ketu axis. And it's also a wake-up call to you real estate investor. Don't jump at investment because it is cheap. Don't jump at investment because it's facing the road. If you cannot afford to do a thorough due diligence, if you cannot afford to do a property title by yourself, see, Most of these guys selling K2 will not do title. They will not do title. So if you cannot afford to do these two things, ladies and gentlemen, watching me home or in diaspora, leave property facing the road for them. That land cannot be free. If it is free, there will be one owner that bought many years ago that will come and reclaim his property. So these are some of the things you need to do whenever you are investing in the Lagos real estate market. Until I come your way in another educative, exciting, and of course interesting episode of Property Matters. Take care of yourself. Bye for now. God bless you.